Hi Jim. So I'm not technically bi-coastal because I'm awaiting my flight from Denver to Salt Lake City to Seattle after youth ministry thing, but it's probably not so bad because your last questions were about travel, so now I can answer them in context. That is not my plane, but it's going to Grand Rapids, so I thought it was appropriate. Your first question was about my airplane routine, and I thought I would answer in the form of photos. I tend to be a window girl because then I don't head bob into the aisle if I fall asleep, and if I time it right and I'm on the right window, I get to see Mount Rainier or other cool landscapes. As for single serving friends, that kind of depends. If I'm on a flight with a lot of business travelers or it's 6 a.m. or 10 p.m., then I tend to just put my headphones in or read and tune out the world. Also, I recently got noise canceling headphones and they are the best. When I wear them, it's actually quieter on an airplane than it is in my apartment. For a while, I had myself trained to fall asleep by about the third song on one of my playlists, but now I tend to flip on an album for the entire trip and listen to it on repeat. I still have small talk with other travelers during taxi or touchdown, but that tends to happen when I'm traveling on weekends or off times, and especially not when I'm sitting next to other frequent travelers who have their own routines. And speaking of small talk with other travelers, I awkwardly asked my seatmate to help me with this video.
Hi Jim, hope you're doing well in New York.
As for what my routine says about me, maybe I'm a little bit antisocial and ready to be off the road for a couple weeks. So I am back at home, not in an airport, because apparently it is not the easiest to do.
Begin boarding off Flight 2179 with service to Sacramento.
This isn't going to work. This is so awkward. As travelers, or if it's self to fall asleep and I will have to do the rest of this later because I need to catch my flight. So back to some of your questions. On to question 2. If I were hired to redesign an airplane, what's the first problem I would tackle? Honestly, I'm guessing most of the things I would think of might not be the biggest challenges to take on. So I would start where I usually start, with some design research and interviewing passengers and travelers and following them around, kind of stalkerish, to figure out what obstacles they run into. For myself, though, a few things I would try to address. Number 1 is power, as in electrical outlets. I know some planes have outlets, and Alaska actually has that on all of their flights, but now that I use my Delta app as my boarding pass, I get a little worried as I get to the yellow bar on my battery. And it would just be nice to know I could charge my devices in air. Another challenge I take on, personal boundaries. Let me tell you a story. I was once on a red-eye from Seattle to Minneapolis. I put in my headphones, I curl into my window spot, and the guy next to me, well, he put his arm on the armrest, but it was kind of on my side of the armrest. And then he rested his head on his hand. Every time he fell asleep, he would fall down and nudge me in the side or in the leg, and I would freak out because I didn't really know where I was. Total first world problem, I know, but I didn't realize how many personal space issues I had until that flight. And on the flip side, I don't like to encroach on others. If I'm trying to sleep, I don't want to end up drooling on a stranger. I'd also be interested in finding ways to improve the travel experience for people with special needs, whether that's health issues, autism, or for families with young children. And I bet some of the improvements would help the general population as well. And your final question regarding the next long-distance mass travel method. Hopefully someone's working on Star Trek-style teleportation, because I would be into that. But in all honesty, I don't know that we'll replace the airplane anytime soon. There's always talk about high-speed rail, but so many of those railways have been decommissioned or turned into parks. I think we should set up a series of tubes between major cities, and people just hop into a pod and get pneumatically zipped to their final destination. Either way, I think the tall people of the world should be able to use mass transit comfortably. Or maybe go through a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids process before boarding. You know, let's just aim for teleportation. Okay, I'm claiming another 3.5 points. I didn't technically film this all in an airport, but I tried. Which brings me to my 3 questions for you. What are the best and worst parts of being a tall, lanky person? If for the rest of your life you were limited to 2 forms of transportation, what would you choose and why? If you could go on an all-expenses-paid pilgrimage to one sacred place in the world, where would you go? Those are my bi-coastal curiosities, and now it is your turn, Jim. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.